Yeah.
It won't be
Mm.
it won't be interrupted. All right. Well, that's great. That's the problem we are having now, because the amount the one that is free, the amount of
Yeah.
time is reduced. Only 40 minutes in the
Yeah.
way we used to have with Mamtas. Remember
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that after 40 minutes it disappeared. All right. That's great.
So
Okay.
Leniana is here, I guess. Yes. So because we have that.
There she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So because we have the pro version now, so it's not the issue of time.
No,
Hello.
thank God it's not that, honey. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Hi.
How are you, Leniana?
Hi.
It's
Hi.
great to see
Very
you.
nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for invitation. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
Yes.
Shailesh.
Yeah. 2 years before, 3 years before, we used to meet twice sometime in a week, Patricia, isn't it? In the time of Corona.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
But
That's-
what we have learned a lot of things, even though there are some bad experience of Corona, but that
Yeah.
was also a great opportunity to meet the people around the globe, and the experts like you and Patricia. You're really guiding from the Asian country teachers. So, and we realize thanks to that internet, and really thankful. And we are just a family now. You are from Italy, she's from Argentina, I am from India.
Yes.
So that is
Yeah.
the international brotherhood, we can say. It's really,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks to the technology. Most of the people cursing technology, but with the technology, we can exchange and shares our idea and thoughts, especially in the field of education.
Well, although this
Absolutely.
existed before the pandemic crisis, where we were not used to meeting together.
Yeah.
This is thanks to COVID-19 pandemic, and it is
Yeah.
great to create bonds and improve our teaching and exchange ideas. So we are growing every time we meet. This is something that we need to recognize, and I feel very happy because now I have lots of friends around the world, and we are constantly sharing information and learning together. So this is precious. This opportunity is precious, really. So thank you very much for having organized this for us.
Thank you. Really, thank you, Shailesh.
Yeah, and actually our teachers is really want to talk and learn English, because English speaking and English listening is, we have the craze and we know the importance of this international language. And that is why I have some groups where I just teach, not just teach, because we are a facilitator rather than a teacher nowadays. So I provide them facility for to speak, and I have my spoken English groups. And I really need someone, especially from Europe also, because our pronunciation is quite different from the pronunciation of US and UK accents. These are the different accents. And I'm searching another guidance from any English expert who can guide to the teachers, because I have been doing that work since last 5 to 6 years. And it was a nice experience. But now, as this globe is just becoming a village, now teachers want to communicate with the teachers around the globe. They want what is happening over there. The exchange of ideas, it is very important. And that is why we are under learning process. Our team is learning to speak English with the fluency and the accuracy at the same time. Leniana, you want to say something, I think.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for inviting me here, Shailesh, and it's a great opportunity for me to talk to you and to connect 3 different continents, because it's Asia, Europe, and America. It's wonderful, and with different time zones. So we come from a different part of the world, but it's so interesting because the topic here is proactive classroom management. And this is very interesting to me because I currently teach in a school which is quite a bit challenging in this sense, and it's you know, a school that tries to include all these dropout students and not school students. They don't go to school, so we try to reach everybody in this situation. A lot of people coming from abroad, a lot of people, a lot of students coming from other countries, from, you know, disadvantaged countries. And the basic need to have is absolutely to create a bond with each other in the classroom, first of all, and make them feel we teachers have to be facilitators, in the sense that we have to get them to work together, and we have to encourage them in the learning process as much as we can,
Exactly.
and be less intrusive as possible, but being a very, you know, useful tool they can use to keep on going. And in a sense, a very effective method is cooperative learning. You know, we try to apply cooperative learning, which is very different from traditional language teaching. So this cooperative language learning, I mean, this cooperative language learning consists of, first of all, independence. You get to let students being independent. Independence is not negative.
Yeah.
It's not negative. So you have to give them, you know, trust, first of all. They have to feel, you know, that they have trust of the teacher. They have
Hand
to
in
feel
hand.
free to try, to explore, to experiment. And yes, and to make mistakes, you know, have this freedom to make mistakes, not the fear or the panic. Then, you know, the second, you know, core value of this cooperative language learning is the center of the classroom is the student. The students have to be, you know, the center of the learning process. And of course, you need to have some feedback from the students, which is very different from a, you know, a frontal lesson where the teacher talks, doesn't even realize or doesn't even think of feedback. You know, for example, in a traditional learning, a teacher prepares materials, or, you know, arrange lessons, and you know, these things. But in another kind of, you know, in another kind of teaching system is, you know, the lesson has not, you can't prepare the lesson too much, because sometimes you have to adjust. So you have to be ready to rearrange your lesson sometimes in a different schedule, for example, and adapt to students who sometimes cannot really, you know, stick to this, for example, timetable. You maybe give 5 minutes to complete a task. Maybe they need 10 minutes, so you got to give 10 minutes. So you have to give them some, you know, additional, or, you know, supplementary time, just to give them, you know, to make them feel at ease also. And of course, there has to be an intense interaction among students, and a few teacher-students interaction. The more interaction you have between student and student, that's the best practice. The ideal thing, I think, is being collaborative in small groups.
Yeah.
Groups should be, you know, not bigger than 5 and not less than 3. So you have a good interactive dynamics, a good interactive system. And that's very good. That's very effective. you know, traditional teaching, you know, keeps students with separate desks and maybe students placed in pairs. It's very, you know, very stiff.
Competitive.
But yeah. So yeah, instead, you know, cooperative language learning needs a lot of changing in this sense. You need a lot of groups, bigger groups, not just pair teaching or pair learning. You need maybe groups of 3, groups of 4, groups of 5, not more than 5, because more than 5 is a little bit chaotic. So maybe more than 5, maybe 6 or 7 starts to be not very effective, because maybe you got a leader or maybe a single student's just talking, or maybe overlapping to other students. So it's better to keep the group a little bit, you know, effective in a sense. Another very important thing is that all members in some way contribute to success of group. So each member of the group is a real learner and is a protagonist of the learning. And the one who makes progress is the winner.
Yeah.
So you need to focus on this. And of course, cooperative learning is equal learning, is not superior or inferior, is, you know, equal on the same level, and it's win-win. It's a win-win scheme. It's a win-win dynamics, I think.
Yeah, because the teamwork is, I really like as the way you explain the collaborative, common aim that student is having. The teamwork is very important.
Yeah.
But in the competitive situation, I'm talking about, especially in my country, there is a competition, and that is an individual competition. If you learn, if you are in the top, you will grab the job, because the education is there not all the time to become a great human being, but you need to grab the job. You will have good opportunity if you are good in academics. So you are not going to share your ideas of learning even with your bench partner, because he is ultimately the competitor for you. So individual, each and every student, and that is why I'm against the competitive exam in the school days, in the school education, because the competition destroy the personality. We have to, as
Right.
you earlier mentioned, absolutely correct, Leniana, that we have to give more tasks as a team task, so that they can care each another, each one, because they are having the common target, they are having the common aim, and that should be the expected outcome of the learning and teaching process. Because we come together only when there is some problem. For example, pandemic and all these things. No, that time we need help. So you rightly explain and tell that it is the collaborative task is very important in schools. You rightly mentioned.
Absolutely.
Isn't it, Patricia? What do you think, Pat?
No, there is, yes, cooperative learning is very important, because we shouldn't forget that learning is a social process. In the traditional model, students learn individually. They are seated and listening to the teacher, and they do not have any opportunity to share what they are learning. There is no discussion of the new topic. There is no relationship to what they learned before. So the students are passive receivers of information. That's why they are usually unsuccessful when they have a test, and the teachers normally say, okay, you have to study harder. And it's not a question of studying harder. It is a question of explaining better. It is a question of involving the students in the process of learning. It is a question of making them active in the classroom. If they are not active participants, as Liliana has said, they won't have the opportunity to apply what they learn in real life situations. That's why working together is the best way of learning, because students learn together, they share strategies, they are able to understand better what they are learning, because they trust one another, and at the same time, they are building relationships, and this is very important. They create a special atmosphere when they are together. When they sit individually, it is the teacher's responsibility to create a special atmosphere. And what is it? Be quiet. I'm talking. Do not talk. I'm explaining. And that's not a pleasant atmosphere. I cannot start a class saying, good morning, sit down, open your books. The students need to be prepared. That's why one of the main aspects of smart classroom management is to prepare the special environment which invites the students to learn. I always say that teachers do not teach in the classroom. They are responsible for creating certain conditions to invite the students to learn. Otherwise, it is impossible to start explaining something to the students if they are not prepared. For that, we need to consider emotions. Emotions are never considered in the classroom today, although social and emotional learning are part, now they are much more common than they used to be. But the traditional model is still so dominant that it's difficult to get rid of it. So it is a change of attitude. It is our responsibility to give the students what they really need, because we need to listen to them. They complain, they do not like the way they are learning, and we insist on this. And when they discover teachers like Liliana, for example, in which they have a different attitude, they make them participate actively, like all other innovative teachers, the students can see the difference, because now we are in a period of transformation in education, and students have teachers who are still traditional and teachers who are already introducing new strategies and techniques in which the students are directly involved. The only way of learning effectively is when students are part of the process of learning. And my mission as a teacher is to accompany that learning journey. Otherwise, there is no effective teaching and no effective learning. Because, you know, teaching and learning form a binomial, they are inseparable. So after I create a pleasant atmosphere and the students are motivated, without intrinsic motivation, learning is not possible. If I tell myself, okay, if you pay attention, you will leave earlier today. No, that's extrinsic motivation. They will be quiet and pay attention to the teacher because they know that they will leave earlier. That's not the way of learning effectively. They need to be convinced that they are enjoying what they are learning. And that is my responsibility. If I don't make learning fun, learning interesting, learning that engages students, they won't be able to pay attention properly. They will start flying and thinking about something else. So this special atmosphere is my responsibility. And the students, if they know, or if they recognize that what is offered is really useful, because sometimes they learn something that they tend to ask, where can I apply this? Is it necessary to study this information for us? I don't like it. Well, when we introduce material, we need to take into consideration the level of the students. That's why didactic transposition is so important. I need to adapt my teaching to the level of the students. Otherwise, it is impossible. That's why students tend to study by heart, because they don't understand when teachers repeat the same time of explanation in the same way. They say, I don't understand. Well, okay, read the notes again. And the problem is the teacher, because she's repeating the same explanation every time students ask for a new explanation. So the students are not able to understand, not because they are not able to reason properly. It is because the teacher is not able to change the strategy. When students don't understand, well, I need to use, for example, multisensory learning to let all the senses alert and let the children learn in the way they can, because there is no one way of learning. That's why we need to take into consideration what they bring to class. So they are free to learn in the way they wish, in the way they can, in the way they are prepared for that. Are you visual? Are you kinesthetic? Okay, give them a different type of activities in which they have the opportunity to learn using their own capacities. But today, we are still having an explanation, or rather, I instruct my students to learn, then they study, they sit They take an examination, and according to the result, they are good or bad students. So a grade is just a focus on the result, and I need to pay attention to the process. Normally, teachers, they decide to take a test. Okay, you will have a test tomorrow. But we're not prepared. Could you postpone the test? No, because I need to go on. The students take the test, and many fail. If the students fail, it is also my failure.
Yeah.
But the teacher blames the student, you see. So that's why, as I said before, we need a change of attitude. We need to think, in what way is my teaching effective? Am I using the right strategies? That's why metacognition is so essential and so absent in the classroom. When we start reflecting on what we do in the classroom, we are able to find mistakes. And you, for example, Liliana, and other colleagues should meet together and discuss the problems we may be having, because I can have a problem you are not having in the classroom, and you can give me some advice. So learning together and sharing experiences today is very important, because we are in this period of transformation, and these type of meetings are very enriching. That's why we need to keep them on going in order to improve. The thing is that sometimes teachers find very difficult to get the moment to get together, and they mainly work individually. Even when they are at school, they consult something during the break, but that's not sharing information. It's getting together and reflect using metacognitive reflection. That's the only way.
Yeah, there's, if I may say, Shailesh, if I may add something to what Patricia said, it's very inspiring every time. It's true. We have to be, you know, we have to cooperate. We have to give something and be active in the success of the student. Teachers has a responsibility in all this. But that's, you know, talking about proactive classroom management, I mean, sticking to that point, there's something happened today to me, and I realized that, you see, when I get into the classroom and I just walk into the classroom and close that door, you know, that's lesson. That's another world. You know, the world outside is something else. The world in a class is school, and school is magic. School is something somewhere where something nice, beautiful happens, where you become adult, when you learn things, when you learn how to behave with people, and you'll be successful in the world. So you got to give them, you know, this idea. And if you see the class is chaotic, and I see, I don't walk into the classroom until you're not seated and quiet. I stay out, because until you go around and you play around like that, I don't walk into the classroom. I stay outside. That's number one. When I walk into the classroom, then I'll start, you know, the lesson. A lesson is being together. Lesson is talking together respectfully. So listen to people. Do not interrupt people when they talk. You got to inspire the class, of course, but give also guidelines, because otherwise students feel free to say whatever, and you start to have this homogeneous level of the classroom, and then, you know, some students will just talk and others students will be quiet. You got to reassess. You got to re-establish some kind of balance in the classroom. Got to keep, you know, you got to have a language. Never shout. So it's completely useless for classroom management. And so you keep your language in a polite tone, and then maintain eye contact with them. Do not lose eye contact, because if you don't watch them, and if you don't look them, if you don't look at them, they feel
invisible. They feel on phones, their phones. Their cell phone it's such a powerful tool, but this powerful tool needs to be controlled, needs to be somehow arranged or somehow guided. And so this is another problem. The phone, the use of they do of the phone. So they can use the phone. It's not that I want to forbid them to use the phone, not that, but the phone has to be used in a didactic way, in a learning way, in the learning process, not just to watch videos as random videos on social medias that doesn't have anything to do with the lesson. So they can use the phone. And of course, they can raise concerns about one another's statements in a respectful way, in a respectful manner. Have to respect each other. And then, of course, this is good classroom management. I think this is effective.
The problem is that everything depends on the way you deliver the class. The students should be busy. That's why they start disturbing the class, and they start checking messages on the phone or watching a video. They are not interested in the class. So I like project-based learning because students are given a task. They have to investigate, they need to explore, they have to analyze information, and they are busy working. And they are busy working at home when they get together with the other peers, and then they come back to school and they are busy discussing what they have found, what they have investigated, and the type of work they are creating. So the students are complaining because they are not busy in the classroom and they do not like the type of classes they are being given. They want something else. The thing is that we need to start, before starting working with a new group, we need to find out what type of students we will have during the year. Some groups are very kinesthetic students. They are moving all the time. They cannot remain seated. And then we have quiet students. Well, they have a variety of students in the class. But the thing is to find a balance and give the students what they really need. There is no need to prepare an activity for each student. The idea is to get them engaged, taking into consideration their interests. I know that today it is very difficult to get their attention. And besides, we normally ask for attention, and the attention should be gained, because if they do not want to pay attention because they are not interested, they won't pay attention. So it is difficult today because of the type of students we are having. But the thing is that what they know is the type of learning they are having, the type of tests they are being given, the type of activities they have to do. Worksheets and worksheets, written work all the time. They do not have the opportunity to communicate in class and show how much they are able to express their ideas and thoughts using the English they have learned. And they also complain because after years of learning the language, they say that they are not able to keep a conversation going. And it is true, but it is our fault because we concentrate on written activities, on grammar, accuracy, and when they commit mistakes, we correct them immediately. So they are afraid of committing mistakes, so they prefer to remain silent, and we tell them, okay, I want you to participate. But they cannot say anything because, of course, that they have to be polite. And they can say, but you never give us the opportunity because you are giving us all the time written activities. Well, if we ask teachers, how much time is devoted to communication skills in the classroom? And by communicating skills, I mean speaking and listening. Listening is ignored. The students are forced to do listening activities without having any listening skills. Listening is set aside. Listening does not exist in the traditional way of teaching. And listening is important because through listening, students learn how to speak the language in the same way we do when we are babies and we are trying to learn the mother tongue. So we are not teaching English correctly. And although we know most teachers prefer to go on teaching in that way, there is also a lack of interest in the fact that English has become an international language. And nothing is said, not even at college. When I ask my students, do your teachers, for example, in literature or history, do they tell you about the fact that English has become a tool, a global tool, and it should be taught differently? Many of them say no. And this is a big mistake, because today there is more flexibility in the teaching of English, and accuracy is not the aim. It is fluency and intelligibility. So we are insisting on accuracy in a world that is asking for fluency. So we're mistaken, and we do not realize that we are not teaching English properly. Why? Because the traditional model of teaching using the textbook is easy, it's comfortable. We need to replan and revamp the way we are teaching English. The teaching approach we are having at the moment is mistaken. Many institutions in the world are working differently, and they recognize that English is an international language. And there are many researchers, and I meet with them, and I meet them, and we exchange information and try to highlight listening and try to highlight the importance of oral practice in the classroom. So the students do not have the opportunity to practice the language orally, so that they don't know if they are able to speak the language properly. And when they have the opportunity to, for example, there are group of students that go to England or go to Australia or to the States, their schools take them there to take up a course for a week or two, and then they move around London and different cities in England. And when they come back, they say, well, what was your experience? Well, when I was in the street and I tried to speak with a person, it was quite difficult for me to understand. But I have been studying English for 6 years, and it caught my attention. It was so difficult for me to understand. Yeah. Well, that's accent. Nothing is said about accent, not even students that are at college. They need to know that today English is spoken with an accent. That's why you, Sheila, speak English with an Indian accent, Liliana with an Italian, and I with speaking with a Spanish accent, more specifically Argentinian accent, because the Spanish accent is different from there's a difference between the Spanish and the Argentinian accent. Well, this should be told to students. We shouldn't consider or take into consideration those courses that are announced on the net that you will be able to speak like a native speaker in a week or two. This is a complete lie. We cannot improve our accent. What we can improve is our pronunciation, but not accent. Accent is our identity. I will never speak like a native speaker because I'm not English. It's simple.
Why should we?
But people,
why should?
Why? Yes, yes. No, I should
we are
proud
forcing an
of my identity. Yeah, but many people are cheated because they try to take up these courses because they think that they will be able to speak like a native. They will improve their pronunciation. They will be learn how to use connected speech properly. But accent will always be present. Those courses say to reduce your accent. No, you improve your pronunciation. Huh? Yeah. Your accent cannot be reduced. Some accents are heavier than others. It's true, and it's difficult to understand people. The thing is that when you start listening to those heavy accents, you start understanding. It takes a bit of time, but it's not impossible to learn. And the way students should learn English today is as an international language. They won't be able to find native speakers speaking beautifully outside the classroom. No. So more probably they will find people whose mother tongue is not English, and they use it as a tool to communicate with peoples around the world. This is the real truth of the aim of learning English today. Meeting people whose mother tongue is not English. But students do not know about this. They think that they will find native speakers.
Yeah. To learn any
It is our
language,
responsibility.
to learn any language in the world, it is important LSRW, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. In some of the countries, not given importance to the listening of the language. The possibility to speak any language, the first condition that you have to listen the language first. You have to create the atmosphere for them so that they can understand, they can listen more and more, so that they can speak, they can read, and then the writing. So I think the sequence is very important if we want to learn the language, as you rightly mentioned, Pat, because listening is very key, very important part, very important, isn't it, Laniana? To go through that sequence?
It is absolutely, and absolutely, yes, it is. It's listening, yes, speaking, writing, and of course reading. Yes, because you have to distinguish sometimes between, you know, a keyword. Okay, when we speak, we give a keyword, and then maybe sometimes students repeat that keyword. Okay, if I say sport, do you like sport? Yes, I do like sport, because sport is fun, sport is important, sport, okay, so shouldn't be so, you know, so stiff and so limited in this square, the 4-5 words. You have the keywords, but then from that word you have to develop a more complex sentence. You have to build a sentence. You have to be able to build a sentence. So, and then I think in this sense, writing can be helpful, because when you write things down, you give a shape to your thought. And as Patricia said, writing shouldn't be the main activity, absolutely. But some writing now and then, I think it's useful. And also, like, you know, if you put these keywords in the chart, but from the keywords, you have to develop your thought, because otherwise we cannot learn to explain ourselves beautifully and completely. Our thought will be interrupted or fragmented, put things together effectively, and you cannot express yourself nicely and beautifully. So yeah, we have to give students this competence. So yes, you think a keyword, but from that keyword, you have to build a sentence, not a sentence of 2 words, but a complex thought, a complex sentence that can describe the topic you want to explain completely, you know, beautifully. So all of these things are important. And of course, listening, absolutely. Listening is very important. When you listen, you have the words, you know, you receive passively words from outside, but then again, sometimes it's nice to write something down, but maybe write something down in your mind. So then maybe you build a chart in your mind and you start putting things into a sort of an archive in your mind. And when you need words, you go and pick that word where you put them in your mind, and then you build your thought. That is nice, you know, it's a nice way to progress, I think, to put all these competencies together, you know, the LSRW, yes, and try to give students a little bit of everything, all of them. Of course, not indulge too much in writing, of course, but sometimes, yes, it's nice. And of course, inspire the class, improve a student's self-esteem, and reinforce, you know, rules and rules and values you want to see. Give you some example, very, very quick example. I got a student in my class. He's Muslim and he comes from Egypt. He doesn't speak a word of Italian, doesn't speak a word of English. He just speaks Arabic. I got another student. It's very, is a very active student, and he cannot really learn much, but he feels a loser. He feels to be a loser. So I just gave these students the task of interpret and translate the other students' language, because it comes from Egypt either. So he comes from Egypt, he feels a loser, but then I said to him, listen, you are the winner because you know Italian and Arabic, and you can translate what your schoolmate is talking and is speaking, is saying. So I need you. You're an important person in the class.
Yes.
And I just reinforce this competence he has because it's bilingual, is absolutely bilingual student. He believes to be a loser. You're not a loser because you're an interpreter. You're an interpreter and you will translate what your schoolmate is saying. And I needed it. So you're important, establish a good environment, learning atmosphere.
The student has an important task to perform, so he's no longer a loser.
Yeah.
Going back
sorry,
to what,
I had lost you.
Yeah. Going back to what you said at the beginning, I completely agree with you. And you mentioned that students are not able to speak in the classroom properly, and they cannot express their ideas and thoughts, just simple sentences or simple words. There is an answer for this. Why they can't do this? Because they are given lots of worksheets in which grammatical structures are practiced, and this grammar is never related to a real life situation. So they know how to use if clauses in sentences, in mechanical activities, how to use a present perfect and the difference between present perfect and past continuous and past simple. But when they have to start using everything in a conversation, they can't. When they have to describe a person, for example, something very simple activity, they say, well, his tall thing, his hair is dark, but there are other aspects that may be useful for description. So they cannot use the grammar and syntax correctly because everything has been done mechanically. This is the right reason, the real reason for this. So that's why they need space to practice the grammar they have learned. If it is learned mechanically and if it is evaluated mechanically, they will never be able to use it freely in contextualized settings. So they get embarrassed because they realize that they cannot say more than one sentence, as you said. And they know, but they know vocabulary, they know structures, but they don't know how to use that in connected speech. Another big problem we are having in the way English is taught today is that students or teachers do not teach the students how to speak in connected speech, how to use the language in natural conversation, because sometimes they express their ideas in a unnatural way. And our idea is to help them speak naturally, use natural English, but they can't. Why? Because the emphasis is on accuracy. The emphasis is on correcting mistakes. So it is very easy for them to get frustrated and, okay, no, I won't say any word again, because I know that whenever I say something, I am corrected. Although the teacher may say, well, mistakes are welcome, mistakes are good. In the way sometimes mistakes are corrected, helps the students to become frustrated, and many of them decide to quit because they may think, I'm not good at this, I prefer not to go on studying English. The thing is that, for example, in the same way you Liliana, consider that your student was not a loser and you encouraged him to be an active participant and act as a translator, whenever students commit mistakes, we need to encourage them to go on committing mistakes because they are part of the process. If I say, for example, I go to the cinema yesterday, you understood what I said, but you detect that I have not used the correct past form instead of went. Okay, but I cannot say, you cannot, in a natural conversation, in an informal conversation, when I say, oh, Liliana, you said go, it is went. You see, we go on talking and we understand each other perfectly well. So at the end of the activity, we may start making some corrections, but not while the activity is going on, because this interrupts the flow of thought of the students. They cannot go on. And if I say, okay, what else? What else? What else? Well, this is incomplete. Imagine having an interview in which you are asked in this way. That's why we need to be very empathetic when we say, okay, no, it's not enough. Correction. Be careful with your voice, your intonation, your sounds. Oh my God, to remain silent. So be quiet in the way you try to correct your students. We perfectly understand that we want our students to learn effectively, but sometimes we are so eager to make them use the language correctly that we make them feel embarrassed.
Absolutely.
So again, we need to control ourselves when we correct and we see mistakes in the classroom. The classroom should be a laboratory. The students should use the language permanently. There are lots of mistakes. They are part of the process. They shouldn't feel ashamed if they commit mistakes. We normally commit mistakes in the mother tongue, so why not in a language they are trying to learn? It's natural. But the approach is the way we correct them. Sorry.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. At least we should just let them finish talking, and then we can intervene or correct. We can correct at the end, without interrupting, because if we interrupt, it's like a censorship, falling on them.
They feel uncomfortable.
They don't feel at ease anymore.
It is uncomfortable. Or if you are given a definition and I tell you, okay, Liliana, but this is not the right definition. I want you to tell me the one I told you when I explained this to you. And this is another big mistake, because I need to encourage my students to use their own words. Why are they supposed to repeat a definition like a parrot? This is because the teacher is following a traditional method. So they are evaluated on the amount of information that they are able to retain. Big mistake. The students should be able to express their ideas using their own vocabulary, what they know, not repetition like a parrot. And besides, something very important is the type of question we ask in the classroom. Not all of them should be closed, that are shared by the whole class. They should be open so as to see how they are able to use the language. Why questions? How questions? Why do you think this happened this way? Why do you think the main character of the story behaved in this way? Now tell me the description of the character. Okay, you may say he's thin, tall, fair hair, but that is not information that is showing you that he has understood the story. So make them questions that will make them think, and you will realize in this way if they have understood the story. Involve them in an activity, in a drama activity. That's why drama is so useful in this case. There is no need to give the students a written test to check understanding. There are hundreds of different possibilities in which we can use drama, and they are able to show how much they have understood. Just brainstorming may be a good instrument to decide if the students have understood something they have read, or if they have understood a content. There is no need to give test after the test. They fail, okay, you will have another opportunity. You will have another test next week. But the mistakes that were committed in this first test are not considered. So what's the use of taking another test if they are not corrected? We do not devote a whole class to analyzing the mistakes the students have committed. Only after that, they will be able to take another test. If mistakes are not corrected collectively, because many students share the same types of mistakes. Why do you think you have committed this mistake? And I say, I made the same mistake. Okay, why? What's the problem? Make them think. Do not give them the answer directly. Make them think, and they will discover their mistakes together. Working together, as you said, is very useful. Because if we give them all the results, there is no opportunity for thinking. And what we need to create is students that think creatively and critically. And again, metacognition here is important because they can discover their weaknesses and strengths together. That's why working cooperatively, as you have said, is so important and so absent in the classroom, because many teachers think, no, they get noisy, it's a chaos, I don't want to work like that. I prefer to give them individually. I explain to them, and that's the end of the story. Complete mistake. We need to step outside the comfort zone and to face challenges. Teaching is a challenge today. And every day I deliver a class, that class is completely different from the one I delivered yesterday, because I create a different atmosphere, there are different interests. It's not a repetition of the same. I can't repeat the same content, of course, because I may have the same course the following year, or I can't share courses at the same level. But each class will be different because I'm having different students, different interests, a different climate is created. Every time I start a new class, although I try to create the same atmosphere that was present yesterday, it's different because the emotions change every time. My emotions are different from the ones I had yesterday. Yesterday I was happy, but today I'm happier because I'm with you, for example. Today I'm very happy because we are together. So you see, there are many external elements that influence teaching and learning and usually ignored. Well, let's start thinking about what we do in the classroom, and we'll realize there are many details that today are ignored. Classroom management is not just routines, expectations, and rules. It goes beyond that. And what is beyond is much more important than an instruction or a rule or a routine.
I have one experience while teaching spoken English. What I used to do, I used to ask students their interest area and learning English. We have some students, they are interested in the political issues discussing. So politics and English, I mix together and give them some tasks, some experience as far as learning English and spoken English as concerned. Most of the students in our country, they are interested more in the movies. So movies and English will be hand in hand together. So I realized that some students like the sports, especially cricket. So I just teach them cricket, English and cricket together. So unless and until student gives attention only when they are interested. My interest to teach them English. Their interest is watching movies. So movies and English together. I have great result in that. I'm also running one program, My Movie, My Motivation. I just show them the movie, and at the end of the movie, I ask them to explain the characters in the movie. That's an English activity. But they enjoy it. They take participation in that because their interest area with English, it's really helped me. If there is some medicine, we have to give that to the child for fever or any disease. If the child interested and like mango, I think we have to give that medicine in mango flavor. some students like oranges. So we have to give the medicine in orange flavor mixed with the orange.
Yeah.
So I have that great experience, and I used to, discuss about cricket. If Laniana is interested in cricket and Patricia is interested in cooking, so cooking and English will be hand in hand. So your homework, I'm not giving homework to my student. That's home play. So I give them the home play of cooking and English together, the sentences. For Liniana, because she is interested in cricket, I will ask her to tell something about your favorite cricket player. So the interest area. And also one thing which I would like to ask you both, what is the role of stories, especially primary and pre-primary section? What is the role of stories, songs, and games in proactive classroom management? What do you think about this? Because students used to listen the stories, drama, as Patricia told us earlier, and they like songs and dance. So what is the role of these all dance, stories, songs, and all these things? How we can use that for to attain the student, for to give for the better attention of the student.
For me to consolidate learning, they are used for consolidating learning. For example, when I talk about drama, because drama is precisely the one that uses all these different activities to consolidate information, to strengthen what they have learned. For example, according to the type of capacities or intelligences the students have, they will demonstrate what they have learned using that intelligence. For example, those students who are kinesthetic will dance or sing a song. If they sing a song, probably what they can do is to change the lyrics and have a new one in which the new content is included. Or rap, they love raps. Okay, so use a rap and show me if you have understood the topic today. And then you mentioned stories. Well, in the case of stories, they can create a short scene, for example, and they act it out. And then they can write about it, a short summary of it. So these are different type of activities in which the teacher can detect if the student have understood or not. So instead of giving them a written test, they do not like tests.
Yeah. You want to say
so
something?
We can
Sorry.
What did you say?
Yeah. You just continue.
Okay, no, I was saying that the three of them are to show if the students have understood instead of giving written tests, because we can evaluate every single class. There is no need to have a test week after week. I have students tell me, because I'm always asking teachers and also students, but for me students are very important, because especially children, they tell the truth, because they tell me, I don't like the way my teacher is teaching me history, because she makes me repeat dates and names. And the other day I was with a girl, she was 12 years old, and she learned something about history, and then she had a test, and the only thing that was important was mentioning dates and names of the actors of this particular historical event. And I asked her, and what do you understand by this historical event? No, the teacher said nothing about it. I had to study dates. When I listened to her saying this, is a poor girl. So this indicates that what is important is the historical event, not the date when it occurred. So the students are not able to understand if we insist on names or dates. How can you understand? How can you check if the students have understood a particular cultural or historical event? Tell me about it. Give me the main idea. Brainstorming. Act it out. Saying it. Explain that to me in a few words. Give me the main 3 words in this story. 3 words. What did you get from this historical event? 2 words, 2 adjectives, 2 verbs. And you will see that immediately. So it is so easy, but so difficult to be implemented in the class. I don't know the reason. I have to investigate about this because it's easy to work like this. The students enjoy the class, and you also enjoy it because preparing reading activities is all writing activities is a great task at home. You devote hours and hours preparing mechanical activities, worksheet after worksheet, instead of thinking or all activities that can enhance the students' oral skills. And it is also a way of checking their understanding. Teachers and students are active in the classroom, and the teacher is listening, active listening, and the students are busy working, showing what they have learned. Especially children. Children enjoy when they participate in this way. When they take take on roles, simulations, short scenes, when they sing. Another very good idea is using for children TPR activities, total physical response activities, where you check vocabulary and they have lots of fun. Instead of giving them lists of words they have to study by heart. That's boring, even for us.
Absolutely. Yes, if I may add something to what Patricia said very beautifully, I mean, is that the very important thing is storytelling. Storytelling is really a core of learning, I think. You know, to be able to tell a story is not just something given for granted. I mean, maybe you believe you can do that, and then you realize that you need a lot of words, a lot of thought, a lot of, you know, elements to build a story.
Yes, one way to prepare them.
You know, a way to consolidate the learning.
Yes,
Yeah,
you disappeared. Yeah, your voice disappeared, and then you can just come back. No, I was saying that
sorry.
One way of no, it's okay. One way of encouraging this storytelling is working in groups. You create a group story. So you start, once upon a time, there was a very big rabbit. That's the beginning. And then each student adds something to the story. And it's really amazing how creative they can be. The way we are using stories at the moment, using the traditional model, is the teacher and the students read the story, close questions, because they are not open, close questions, and then they have to prepare the summary. They repeat it, the summary, like a parrot, and that's end of story. So repetition in this way is not a way of learning. Sometimes I ask teachers, do you have oral practice in the classroom? Yes. And do you consider that you are checking your students when they give the summary of a story? Yes. No. This is, the students are reciting that like a poem. So you are not checking understanding, because the students study the poem by the summary by heart.
The poem by heart.
They can speak it. Yes, they study that by heart. So there is no creativity. And when we speak, there is a lot of creation, because the students need to, the mind is very active. They are organizing their ideas, but just repeating a summary or telling a summary of a story is not an example of speaking practice. It's just an example of repeating like a parrot. The students are not learning anything, because that summary will be forgotten in a year, in a day or two. After 2 days, that summary disappears, because a new one is in process, you see. But when students are taught how to use the language orally in a communicative activity, they know the way they can organize their ideas. For that, they need practice. Another important element that is not included, besides communicative competence, is interactional competence. The students don't know, but they are not told that when we are having a conversation, there is a lot of negotiation. there are false starts, false beginnings, interruptions, repetitions, asking for new information, and the students should be prepared for that. So they remain silent. Okay, go on, but they cannot because they do not have this this type of negotiation devices that are necessary to keep the conversation
Competence.
going. So yes, it is very important then to devote a specific time to practice the language orally, speaking and listening, and develop these skills in order to help students be able to keep a conversation going. At the moment, if you ask a student who have been studying English for some years, they are not able to be an active participant in a conversation. Better they will be a listener. They may say, I prefer to listen. No, I want you to be active in the conversation. Come on, we can't. Because important information is missing. And it is our responsibility to give them the tools they need to become effective communicators. Otherwise, they are studying English to become mechanical speakers. And mechanical speakers do not exist in real life. We need natural speakers.
Right.
So again, we always come back to the same idea, revamping the way we are teaching the language, and revamping also all the other subjects. It's not just English. To have a different perspective, to start using active methodologies, give voice to the students, concentrate on what
And
they
especially-
bring to class.
Yeah, what you said before, Pat, about songs and dancing in the primary school, in the kindergarten also.
Yeah,
It's nice because they connect the word to the movement of remember the word, and they remember the step.
Yeah.
And
They are using their
think it's,
bodies. Yes.
Yeah, and they desperately need to use their body at age, because they have to discover their body. They have to discover how they can move, the next space, and so how they can move around, and so they have to explore. And it's nice to teach them songs and maybe dancing, yes, or songs. A word in a song can be remembered very line it with a dance or a color, or
Yes.
different
Significant learning.
different elements, right? So
Because
it's visual, it's physical, it's musical. It's a lot of intelligences altogether.
and more
Yes,
important,
yes.
and more important, Leniana, it's really helped to be good relationship with the student, because student is always very happy and enthusiastic when their teacher play with them, when their teacher sings with them, dance with them. So the bonding in between teacher and student, these kind of activities really help. And remember, when you are having good contact, good relationship building with the student, then student ready to do anything for teachers. Anything means whatever the objectives, the expected outcome from any subject, it doesn't matter which topic or which subject you are teaching to the student. But when student understand this is the teacher who cares, who plays with us, not all the time study, even he is dance with us, he or she is ready to play with us. And that bonding really helps teachers to achieve the goal of for the setting for that particular class. It really helps to become a great bonding in between them. So in that manner, it's very
Definitely.
useful.
No, there is no doubt. Without relationship, we cannot teach and students cannot learn. If we cannot build a good relationship, that we need to create rapport. That means this is sort of emotional understanding, because sometimes they, oh, I have to go to first year A. They are awful. They are very noisy. I hate them. And students from that course may say, I hate Patricia. She's always shouting. I don't want to learn with her. So there is
Discipline.
a conflict there. Yes, there is a conflict. And besides, there are negative feelings. I won't be able to teach because I don't like that group. And they won't be able to learn anything because they hate me, because they don't like the way I behave, the way I treat the students. So teaching and learning are impossible. So, but it is the teacher responsibility to change this situation. So we have to speak with the students to find out the problem they are having. I have to reflect on my own teaching, why I'm shouting all the time. Probably what I'm doing is not right. Again, metacognition is present. For us, it is the instrument to improve our classes.
Right. So playing with the kids, wow, that's a challenge, actually. Never done that.
Then you have to, you have to take that experience. You have to go through, even though it's challenging,
Right.
but it's a fun part. It's a nice activity after all.
No, usually, I
Yes,
mean,
we are
in a
passionate
certain,
teachers.
yeah, right. That, you know, that activity called apple, orange, banana. I don't know if you've done it
Yeah,
ever. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, apple is one step forward,
yeah,
orange is one step behind, backwards, and banana, you turn around.
yeah.
So when I say orange, orange, banana, banana, orange. So they have to move, 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 and then yeah, that's a very warm-up game, warm-up activity. Yes, we don't call it game because it's a warm-up activity that involves a lot students, and they feel, you know, they move a little bit their body, and you know they discharge a little bit of energy, and then they're ready to maybe to learn or to read or to do whatever else. It's a nice start.
Well, for drama, warm-ups are very important. We cannot start a drama class without a warm-up, because the brain is prepared for the process of learning, and the students feel more energetic. They like stretching, or they like some brain gym, or workout. For example, for pronunciation, vocal workouts are very important because we need to prepare the muscles in order to start pronouncing the language. And they enjoy all these type of activities, and they have fun. And when they have fun, they are ready to learn. They get motivated because probably they may say, well, probably this class will be much better than the previous one. Let's have the fun the teacher is inviting us to have.
Tongue twister and all these things.
Yeah, yes, they enjoy that too. Yeah, yeah. The question is to find the activity in which we catch their attention, we get their motivation, and they start learning, having fun. Because the idea, sometimes they don't say having fun. Teaching and learning are not fun. Yes, fun means that the students are really engaged in what they are doing. They are enjoying what they are doing. And we are also enjoying the type of teaching we are having with them. So it is a question of having a good time together. So that's why being a teacher is so difficult. And as I said before, we do not teach in the classroom. We need to create, so we have a very hard work to do, to create the conditions to help students learn effectively. Because the new tendency in methodology today is to place the focus on learning. We need to pay attention to the way students learn, not to the way I have to teach. I need to adapt my teaching to the type of students I'm having. I need to create a pleasant atmosphere which is emotionally healthy, to let them learn, to let them enjoy what they are doing, to invite them to take this pleasant journey, a journey that is enjoyed by teacher and students. That's why we love teaching. It's not just sitting in front of the class and giving directions. It is a question of accompanying the students to face the challenge of learning together. It
Exactly.
sounds poetic.
Yeah.
It is like that. Okay. Okay. A very wonderful conversation. We could go on for ages talking about this because we three are passionate teachers. And whenever we are in front of our students, we are thrilled there in front of them. We're very excited.
Yeah.
And we want to start our classes and to see the results, because it's not a question of teaching, it is a question of accompanying them, as I said before.
Exactly.
We love
I
our
think-
profession, and I think that we are very important in society. We
I
are
think
not
our-
recognized as such here, at least in Argentina.
Our profession itself is an icebreaker in our life, isn't it? It's a great activity.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
are having a lot of issues in our personal life, and we are so lucky that we are teachers, and our job itself is a big icebreaker in our life, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. We forget everything and we
Yeah,
devote
absolutely. Absolutely.
to fulfill our mission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as I mentioned, that teacher is not a teacher. It is more a facilitator who just provide the facility, and student learn their own. Sometimes we need to guide and direct them. And so it is where, and we too also are student. For example, now we all are student, because we can learn at the end of our last breath. We are a lifelong learner, student. And if a teacher is always a student, and that is why if you are a student, you can learn a lot, and it reflects in your profession, it reflects in your work, in your activities, and all these things. For the final verdict, what we are going to Pat, you two, and Laniana, you two, what you'd like to conclude, if you want to conclude this conversation, this talking.
Well, I would say that to have proactive classroom management is to find some empathy with the students, be able to you connect with your students, as Patricia said before. If there's a conflict between students and teachers, then there's nothing to do. I mean, there's nothing to learn, and school becomes a nightmare. You know, you have to encourage students to go to school. You have to give them the joy to go to school. Otherwise, that's our scope. That's our aim. We teachers have to be the facilitator, as you said, but also the people who who are able to encourage, to give an image of a school which is appealing for students, not repulsive. And that's our great challenge today. I think we can do it in many ways, as you said, with singing, with dancing, with storytelling. We have to give them a little bit of everything, let them taste everything, physically or orally, and writing, speaking, putting into drama, inventing, stimulating their fantasy, their imagination. Yes, that's the way a good classroom management should be, I think. There must be empathy. Otherwise, if you start being, patronizing them, you won't get any result, because you'll trigger a conflict, and then you'll trigger that negative feeling, that negative dynamic that will not come to a good result. So be empathetic and be fool, be a little bit fool, as Steve Jobs said, and try to, run with the students and be in the group. And sometimes, yes, there must be maybe some hiccups, but yes, it happens. So we got to go on all together. Yes.
Good. I completely agree with you. And as my final thought, I would say that a classroom is not a place where teachers teach and students learn. I think that a classroom is a place where teachers and students learn together. If I start a
Great.
class being an instructor, I will never be successful.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It is as simple as that, and it's not difficult to be understood.
Plain and simple. Yes. Right.
Plain and
Yes, it's simple. It's simple.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hope that we'll meet and discuss on the various topics related with the field of education. And as I mentioned earlier, that I'm more focusing on spoken English skills. I just really need your help. And if there is anyone else who can help me and my teacher student, because I'm working as a teacher and teacher trainer also, I hope that it will be really useful for us so that we can connect. Even one thing which I
Okay.
really need your concern for that. After your permission, you both honorables permission, I'm going to show this to my teachers. I'd like to share the link to this to my teachers. Is it okay? I'm
Yes,
course.
it's fine to
No
me.
problem.
Okay.
No problem. It's a pity that they are not here today, because we could have exchanged
Yeah.
ideas
have them
and questions and answers. It is interesting when
today.
we can
Absolutely.
have a discussion with teachers, because
Lanyan,
we also
Lanyan,
learn from participants.
yeah, Lanyan, I even while I'm making a flare of that poster of that, I haven't taken your concern. That is why I'm not using your photograph also, because to do that without having the permission and consent, one should not do that. And that is why, because we have been doing that, Patricia and me, but I haven't, because this is first time I'm meeting to you. So without anyone's consent, we are not going to use their photographs, even their names, on any flyer and any poster or anything else. So that was also one of the reason that, and it's a little late to me, from me, that flyer for Patricia. That is also one of the concern. Yeah.
Well, don't worry. You have my consent, and I suppose that Liliana also allows you to use her photograph. No problem. So no problem. So for next meeting, you know that you can do it. No problem. So count on me for that, for communication skills. I can help you on that. And well, let's hope that we can meet together and go on exchanging ideas and discussing this beautiful topic of
Have you
education.
listened to our last, whether you missed or what? I don't know, Leniana, I think. I just say that while preparing
Sorry.
I just preparing the flyer and the poster of this roundtable discussion, because I haven't any consent from you to use your photograph. That is why I'm not using it. And because we have that experience with Patricia also. So we both use our photograph and for the flyer and the posters. I haven't taken any permission from you. That is why I'm not using. And even
She's
I
asking
want
you.
consent from you also.
Okay, you can use, absolutely, yes.
Because you have to ask anyone, but you should not use even anyone's name. Not now, you are not anyone. You are one of my my sister. You are one of my friend now, so that I can share my idea and just listen your idea, and it will really help to me and my teacher. I hope it will work, and I would like to get the guidance from you both, from the knowledge you both, so that it will help and reflect in my work in the future as well.
Okay.
Fine. Great.
Well, thank you for your
Same as for
words.
me.
Yes.
I mean, I take
Yeah.
your advice as well.
Yeah. We have learned together today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thanks so
then.
much, Shailesh.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
Well,
again,
thank you,
we will
Shailesh,
meet.
for the.
You want to say something, Pat?
No, I want to thank you for the invitation. It has been great to be together and exchange ideas. And I'm sure that we will have another meeting of this sort again. So let's wait for it then. Thank you, Liliana, for being with us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate
It was a
your
pleasure.
participation. Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank
to be
you
with
so
you.
nice
much.
time to
Thank you so
spend.
much for inviting me.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
And do take care of yourself and your
Bye.
loved ones. Good night.
Yes. Take care too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Ash. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.